for all of us, we're going to go over some excerpts today, which is about entry into the spiritual degree. So we're going to read some selected excerpts. If you're following the morning lessons, you will probably be, you'll probably remember that these are quite nice articles that are really giving us that descriptive state of how to enter spirituality. So there are a lot of things we can take from these excerpts. So they're really handy to go over, actually. I'm actually looking forward to Tuesday evening simply because it gives me the ability to go over these really nice excerpts that we study in the morning lessons as well. So let's get smashing, and we'll see how things progress. So entry into the spiritual degree, selected excerpts from the sources. The first one is from Baal Islam, and it's from the article One Commandment. The focal point in the work of the Creator is the first footing. So it's one sharp sentence. The focal point in the work of the Creator is the first footing. In other words, when we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah and we want to attain spirituality, attain the attribute of bestowal and enter that spiritual perception of reality, the most important thing is to get your foot in through the door. Okay, literally. Because once you do that, things are a bit easier afterwards. But until you stabilize yourself, until you get yourself into that first degree, it takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of effort. So that first initial thing is the toughest part. But once you do that, the rest is like, you know, dominoes. Well, not quite dominoes, but with respect to the first degree, yes. So let's read the second one. Baal Islam from Shemati, article number 53, the matter of limitation. The matter of limitation is to limit the state one is in and not want the greatness. Instead, one wants to remain in one's present state forever. And this is called eternal adhesion. Regardless of the measure of greatness that one has, even if he has the smallest situation, the smallest state, if it shines forever, it is considered having been imparted eternal adhesion. Whew. So how to relate to that one? Well, in our work, there are a few things we need to consider. One is always giving the effort. And the second thing is accepting that whatever state we go through is, for us, the state that we should be going through. And to accept that state and to stick to the path despite what we're going through. So even if we're in a state where it is like the really the smallest state, and we're obviously putting effort, we're continuing to work and study. However, though, if we're not going beyond that for some reason, okay, for some reason, at this moment, it probably means that that's how we need to work. And despite the fact that I'm kind of stuck there, kind of, because if you're giving effort over time, you're always going to elevate yourself. There's no going back, or there's no descent, actually. Sometimes we use the word descent, but in spirituality, we're always going forward. So we're always getting closer to the goal. So, but sometimes a person enters a situation where he feels like he's in this, you know, vicious cycle, like he's just, you know, going round and round like a roundabout. So what happens in that situation is you should still keep on working and just consider that state as your minimal degree of adhesion. And despite the fact that you're keeping your framework working and going full on, you're still in that state. You should be working in that state, and you should feel like that is your perfect state. Okay? The reason Kabbalists kind of describe how we should relate to a situation, how our attitude should be, is simply because that when we're going through a situation, how I relate to what the Creator kind of gives to me is important, because in that state, I can actually discern what my desire to receive is, what I can bestow, how I can do this, how I can do that. So in order for me to come to some kind of a discernment, I need to be like in between states. So the dark and the light kind of need to go hand in hand here, so I can clarify things. If I don't have one or the other, then if it's all good, that's the problem, because I can't then discern what I need to correct. If it's all bad, then I've got no light shining for me to get over the state, to kind of get strength to go above reason. So you need both states. You need all of these things like coming in and working together. So the state of limitation is, despite the fact that no matter what situation I'm in, I accept that situation as the perfect state, and I'm happy to work in that situation until such time comes, when I don't know, the Creator feels like it is time for me to grow up. In life, we've got years, right? So we count our ages and we count our development according to our ages. We kind of match the age to our mental state or our development. And then from there on, what you can do is kind of, depict to yourself some kind of a behavioral framework. So for, I don't know, for the age of 15, I need to behave like this. For 17, 18, 19, whatever. Or when you're a kid, you're kind of behaving in a certain way, in a certain age group. And then, they're not expecting more than that from you. And when you're in a certain mature age, they're not expecting you to behave like a kid either, right? So there are certain norms according to your age. So same here, that cycle needs to be completed. Now, when we're small children, we don't count our age. We're 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't count these years. We're just growing up with respect to the things that we're going through. So in spirituality, it's kind of like that as well. So I'm not really counting the years, but what I'm counting, I'm not counting, but what is happening is the discernments that we're going through, that they're accumulating, and that accumulation is making me feel like I'm growing up. Just like with kids, they don't count the years, that they don't count their ages. They're just going through this flow where they're growing with the things that they're going through. They're living, they're exploring the world, exploring life, and they're learning things. So that's the kind of development that's going on, and same should be for us. So in spirituality, it's very important to, not to sit down and count the years and say, well, I've been here for 10 years and nothing's really happening. You know what I mean? So that's not really the right way to evaluate how you're developing in spirituality. The way to measure your development in spirituality is checking your inner discernments, where your inner discernments are. And the way to actually really match those is when you're reading the articles, because Rabash has got some really nice articles that we're reading from the excerpts here from Baal Islam and Rabash, where they describe what you should be going through. So as you study and you're reading and studying the material as well, then you begin to decipher, oh my God, I'm in this state. And that state is kind of your development rather than the years that are going by. So quality over quantity is the secret here. And that's what, limitation is. Despite the fact, no matter what state I'm in, I do my best as I can and move forward. Let's read excerpt number 3. What is the Creator hates the bodies in the work? So this is from Baal Islam's Shamati article number 19. The importance of the work is precisely when one comes to a state of 0. When one sees that he annuls his whole existence and being. For then the will to receive has no power. Only then does one enter holiness. So only then does one enter spirituality. So the importance of the work is precisely when one comes to a state of 0. 0 meaning that I've completely nullified, pacified my desire to receive. This doesn't mean I don't want anything. Quite to the contrary, I want a lot of things, but I've decided not to use those desires. I've selected them, I've nullified them, pacified them. I've kind of like killed them, meaning that I'm not using them, right? Obviously, I can't kill my desires, right? So the term killing the desire means that I'm not using it. If in spirituality you're not using it, then that's it, you killed it. That's what it basically means, but you can't kill a desire. So we're not using our desire to receive with the intention for ourselves. So the desire is still there, and I'm still using some of the desires in order to exist, right? Because I have to, we have to have basic necessities like food, family, sex, money, respect, and knowledge. So these kind of things we still need to have in this world to get by and move forward. So I'm taking from life as much as I need in order to exist and continue the path, right? And on top of that, though, I'm not using the desire to receive for myself at all. And that's what it means that I've completely nullified my existence. I only exist with the minimal that I need, which you decide that on that minimal. Nobody's going to decide that for you. And then spirituality opens up for a person. All right. So this is the limitation. And obviously, how can we limit ourselves, right? This comes over time. You can't just say to yourself, oh, I'm not going to use my desires. I'm not going to, I'm just not going to use my desires. I'm going to limit everything. You can't do that. This can only happen exactly as it says in the first sentence. The importance of the work is precisely when one comes to a state of zero. So the more that spirituality is important for me, then the rest of my desires begin to receive less importance. So the important thing here is what restriction really is how I increase the importance of spirituality over everything else. So once I can do that, then it's magic, all right? Then I've actually nullified all my desire to receive for myself. I'm only going with the existence, and spirituality is on top of everything. Number 4. This is also from Rabash. Article number 31 concerning Yenika and Ibur. So Yenika is nursing and Ibur means impregnation. So let's see what this article is talking about. Obviously, this article is talking about our spiritual development. We're not talking about a woman getting pregnant or breastfeeding a baby, right? These are states in our spiritual development. The beginning of the entrance into the work of the Creator is regarded as impregnation. When he cancels himself and becomes impregnated in the mother's womb, as it is written, "Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching." This comes from the verse, "For if you call the mother understanding," which is Bina, meaning that he cancels self-love, called Malchut, whose original essence is called the will to receive in order to receive, and enters the vessels of bestowal called Bina, one should believe that before he was born, meaning before the soul descended into the body, the soul was adhered to him, which is the Creator, and now he longs to adhere to him as prior to her descent. This is called Ibur, when he completely annuls himself. Now, so what do we do here? This is important for us to understand. Obviously, when we're talking about impregnation, we're talking about how to give birth to ourselves in spirituality. So a person needs that environment so that from within the environment, he or she can grow like a baby grows in the mother's womb. So once the baby, or once the individual who starts spirituality, who starts studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, starts to through the study, begins to form inside the environment like a baby growing in the womb of the mother. And all of that really happens there because I now begin to work with the group, right? So with the friends, I'm beginning to work. I begin to nullify myself. I begin to check myself. I begin to go through all these discernments. So everything that I'm really going through is in that environment. And there I need to nullify myself. Then from the group, if I nullify myself, then from the group, I can receive this thing called Bina, understanding what my desire to receive for myself is and what and how I should be restricting it. So all of that understanding really comes to a person if the person is growing inside an environment like a baby in the womb of the mother. This is why the first thing we really do when we study the wisdom of Kabbalah is, after your introductory courses and so forth, is if you want to take your study seriously, we always talk about joining a group where you can develop yourself. This is also true in our corporeal lives, right? So if I want to be a good athlete, let's say, what do I have to do? I have to stick myself inside an environment where other people also want to be a good athlete. So I can actually work with them, I can improve myself. So all these things really need to come together within the environment. And there I can see all my deficiencies, right? So all the things that I'm just not able to do, or I need to do better, or I need to work on. So all these discernments come through the environment. If I was to just practice on my own, I don't know, let's say you're doing, I don't know, let's say you want to be a tennis champion, right? So if you don't have anyone to play with, if you don't change constantly your partner, where you're playing and trying to figure out what you can do better and so on, if you're not constantly getting that practice, obviously you're not going to really advance and do well, because you haven't practiced with anyone. When you go out into the real court, into the real world, you're going to be just dumbfounded. You won't have the experience to do so. So the environment is very much important. Same with any sport like basketball, football, whatever. You need the teamwork so you can actually improve yourself. You can see where you need to improve yourself, and all these things. Your development needs to be in an environment. And this is also same for spirituality, just like for children as well. We prepare schools, kindergartens, and so forth, so that they can develop nicely in a good environment. Same with spirituality. So there's nothing really weird about that. And inside that environment, I should be able to discover all my egoism, all my negative traits, and everything. And on top of that, I can then, work on those to correct those. Any questions so far? So we're about what, 10 people today, right? Okay, sounds good. Looks good. 10's a good number, right? 10's a good number. If there are any questions, you can just pop them through and we'll see how we go. So let's read excerpt number 5 from Rabash, article number 38. What is a cup of blessing must be full in the work. Before the yenika, which is the breastfeeding, there is ibur, which is impregnation, meaning that the upper one corrects him. This can be when a person is like an embryo in the mother's womb, where the embryo annuls before the mother and has no view of his own. But as our sages said, an embryo is its mother's thigh. Eats what its mother eats, and has no authority of its own to ask any questions. Rather, it does not merit a name. This is called mute, when he has no mouth to ask questions. This is so when a person can go with his eyes shut above reason and believe in the sages and go all the way. This is called ibur, when he has no mouth. All right, so this is describing for us the situation that we should be going through in the group. So all of us, when we go into the group first, when you first enter a group or when you're working in a group, there's really nothing to talk about. Okay, all you've got to do is, like it says here, shut up, sit down, and study. Why? Because until I've got some experience, until I've got some knowledge plus experience in my feelings and in my understanding under my belt, there's really nothing to talk about. What kind of an opinion can I have? I'm not in spirituality and I've just started studying, or I've been studying for several years. It takes several years until a person goes through a lot of discernments and comes through certain understandings. So it's not something that happens overnight. Spirituality is going to take time, just like a baby is born and grows, becomes a mature person at the age of 20, 30, and then continues his or her development in life. Same here as well. It's going to take a bit of time until we grow up. So therefore, in that situation, when a person is in the group and he or she is just studying, soaking everything in, and taking everything in as best they can, with all the emotions, with all the feelings, sensations, discernments, plus the understanding, as much as one can through the study, but does it, what does he say here? As he says, with his eyes shut. Okay? A person goes with his eyes shut. Means above reason. It means I don't allow my desire to receive for myself to disturb me in this. So I'm kind of like getting over my desire to receive. I'm putting my desire to receive for myself aside. I'm shutting it down. Okay? And it's same like when an embryo grows in the mother's womb as well. If the embryo like doesn't nullify to the mum's body, then you're going to have some kind of a problem in that birth process. So giving birth is not easy, it's tricky business. And so same here. Therefore, a person also needs to understand, needs to be cautious, needs to just be patient as well. That this is going to take time, and we're not just going to be, getting wings and start flying around in the clouds. So this process, if a person understands it initially, is very important so that the person can just focus on the study, do as best he or she can, and just keep, chewing the material, doing whatever he or she can in the process of the work. And then accordingly, what will happen is a growth process will happen in the womb, just like for a baby. Also, it will happen for a person inside the group. All right, so all will be inside that environment. And also, before we're in spirituality, what's there to really criticize? We're going through certain stuff. We're studying the material, going through discernments according to the actions that we're doing in the group and what we're learning. And what we should be doing is just analyzing, reviewing, and just identifying the states that we're going through. Obviously, we don't want to be going through any state without trying to make discernments, understandings, all kinds of things. We don't want to be stupid on the path. Certainly not. We want to evaluate everything. We want to go through a lot of feelings, a lot of sensations. But despite the fact that I don't understand, or I may not understand, I'm still carrying on. Because there'll come a time, just like in life as well, we go through something and we don't understand why we went through it. Okay, a lot of people ask themselves that question, that famous question, why me? We don't understand why things happen to us sometimes. And until that understanding comes along, though, we carry on with life. So same here as well. A person needs to go with his eyes shut, above his reason, above the desire to receive, and say, look, this is how it is, and I'm just going to keep working at it. Okay, this is an important approach. A lot of students mix the wisdom of Kabbalah with things they learned, I don't know, in all kinds of philosophies or other teachings and so on. So it's a bit of a drama sometimes for a student to go, beyond their mental faculties. And beyond their desire to receive. But if they don't, they'll just fail, because they come to many assumptions which are just not right. All right, and a famous one is, well, we're studying spirituality, we're trying to get corrected, so why do negative things happen? So people don't understand how the system works sometimes, and they can't handle it when a few negative things happen and they fall off the bandwagon. All right, so that's not a good idea. We need to understand that life comes to everyone with its ups and downs. And all we have to do is maintain our composure, calmness. We need to just relax and study Kabbalah. Okay. Any questions so far? No questions. All right, fair enough. Maybe I should just read and not explain anything. How's that? Maybe then you'll ask some questions. Let's read excerpt number 8 from Baal Salam. This is from Shamati, article number 70. With a mighty hand and with fury poured out. We should know that of those who want to come into the work of the Creator in order to truly adhere to him and enter the king's palace, not everyone is admitted. Rather, he's tested. If he has no other desires, but only a desire for adhesion, he is admitted. And how is one tested if he has only one desire? He's given disturbances. This means that he is sent foreign thoughts and foreign messengers to obstruct him, so he would leave this path and follow the path of all the people. If one overcomes all the difficulties and breaks all the bars that block him, and little things cannot push him away, the Creator sends him great clipot and chariots to deflect one from entering into dvekut with the Creator alone, and with nothing else. This is considered that the Creator is rejecting him with a mighty hand. All right, so this is actually a really nice follow-up with what I just said. Sometimes you study spirituality, you want to get better, and obstacles come, right? So this is exactly the answer to what I just said before we read this. So the Creator wants a person, right? The Creator wants the person to clarify what he or she really wants. In order to clarify exactly that I want spirituality, this is what I want, then the Creator is going to say, all right, let's see if that's the case. So he's going to send, obviously, things that will take a person off the path, or things that will attempt to take the person off the path. And the reason he does that is not because he doesn't want us. It's just when we get obstacles, it allows us to strengthen our desire and to grow the desire for spirituality. And that is magic. All right, because there's no other way you can grow your desire for spirituality if you don't come across obstacles. This is the same for our lives as well. If I really want to be something in life, I don't know, an artist, athlete, doctor, engineer, no matter what, I'm going to have obstacles. If I want to be really good at something, I'm definitely going to have obstacles. But those obstacles will actually give me the ability to be what I want to be at the highest level. So the Creator, no wonder, is sending a person obstacles, sending a person all kinds of, dramas or let's say negative events in life. But this is exactly for a person to use that state as a leverage to increase the desire, to strengthen oneself, and to bring some understanding and clarification about what I want, why I want it, why I want to advance in spirituality. So all these questions a person needs to constantly delve in and sharpen for oneself. I can't just study spirituality without really knowing why I'm doing it, what I want to do this for. And because we're going through changes every day, constantly we're going through changes, it's very important for a person to constantly, sharpen up that definition. Like, what do I want from my life? Why am I studying the wisdom of Kabbalah? What do I want to attain by studying the wisdom of Kabbalah? So just like, knives go blunt over time and you need to sharpen them up, a person also needs to sharpen up his intention, his scrutiny, and why he's doing basically what he's doing. Without that clarification, there's no really way you can expand your desire, because the way to grow your desire is to think about it. And I can only think about it if I'm focused on it and I'm going through a lot of stuff in order to get to the goal. And all the things that I'm going through and the goal itself, when they all come together, it allows me to think about it, how to do it, what to do, what should I do, when should I do it, how should I integrate myself into all these things that are happening. So without that process, our desire for spirituality will not grow. All right, so if you don't have a drama in your life when you're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, okay, it's not that we're asking for dramas. Okay, we're not asking for dramas, that's for sure. Okay, but it means that I need to put some more effort somewhere, because I need to get something, some kind of discernment that I need to work with. All right. So this is also in the group. So you don't have to go around trying to get some something bad to happen to you. God forbid. No, that's not what we're doing. But the more I try to focus on the love of friends, on the unity of the group, then something contra, something against that specific trait will appear. And that is what I need to work on. All right. So let's make that all clear. All right. That's where our dramas and problems should be. It should be focused towards the goal. So I want to get to a certain goal, and all my obstacles are those obstacles that are specifically stopping me to attain that goal. All right, just bear with me. Let me get a glass of water. All right, so we're back in action. Right, Rabash number 9. This is from article 236. The whole earth is full of his glory. Before one is fit to attain the truth, he must believe that the truth is not as he knows or feels, but that it is as it is written. They have eyes and they will not see. They have ears and they will not hear. This is only because of the correction. In order for man to achieve his wholeness, for he feels only himself and not another reality. Hence, if one returns his heart to trying to walk in faith above the intellect, by this he qualifies it and establishes it so as to achieve the revelation of the face. All right, so let's read this one again. It's a rather nice one. Before one is fit to attain the truth, he must believe that the truth is not as he knows or feels, but that it is as written, they have eyes and they will not see, they have ears and they will not hear. So we can't really, what he's saying is we can't really understand what we're going for here, right? We want to come, according to what the Kabbalists say, to a state where we want to bestow, want to love like the Creator. But we've got no idea what that means, really, because we've got no idea what the Creator is. And I have no idea what the Creator's attributes are. So we're actually working in order to attain something which we have no clue about. Why and how are we doing that? How is that even possible? It's because we have a spark in the heart. The dot in the heart agrees with this situation. And if that wasn't there, we'd have no chance. We wouldn't even study the wisdom of Kabbalah. So on the one hand, the dot in the heart has an agreement. On the other hand, my ego has a lot of disagreement. So until I become eligible to really enter spirituality, I've got no idea where I'm really going for. I've got no idea what I really want, because I don't know what I want is really. I can depict to myself what love and bestowal is through the things that we study and how we work in the group and so forth. I can have some kind of a depiction to myself, but it's never going to be the real definition of what it is, because as long as I'm not there, I really don't know what I'm going for. Okay? So this is why it says they've got eyes, but they don't see. They have ears, but they don't hear. Okay? So until we enter spirituality, we don't know what spirituality really is. This is only because of the correction, in order for man to achieve his wholeness, for he feels only himself and not another reality. So all of reality, all our lives, what do? We're just feeling ourselves, aren't we? So that's our state. We're in this little black box called this world. Hence, if one returns his heart to trying to walk in faith above the intellect. So if I go into the group, and it's a really nice and precise sentence, if I just try, all right, that's the key word here. If one returns his heart to trying to walk in faith above the intellect. So if I just make an effort inside the group to go above my desire to receive for myself. By this, he qualifies it and establishes it so as to achieve the revelation of the face. So me just trying that allows me to make progress and enter spirituality. Right? This is exactly what we should be doing, making efforts, just like children make efforts. Rightio. Number 10. Okie dokie. So we've still got no questions, which are fine. That's good. I don't know if it's good, but that's fine. All right, so no questions there. Number 10. This is from Baal Islam, Shamati, article number 42. What is the acronym Elul in the work? Those people who want to work in order to bestow. If there's always a state of whiteness, the whiteness does not allow one to continue in the work. This is because while it shines, one is able to work even in the form of reception for oneself. Hence, one will never be able to know if his work is in purity or not. And this causes him never to be able to be awarded adhesion with the Creator. For this reason, he is given from above a form of blackness. And then he sees if his work is in purity. This means that if one can be in gladness in a state of blackness, too, it is a sign that his work is in purity. Hence, one must be glad and believe that form above, he was given an opportunity to be able to work in order to bestow. Now, this is really nice and interesting. If everything was honky-dory, right, if everything was like cozy and sweet, then we wouldn't really make progress because our desire to receive would agree with this work in spirituality. So in order for us to clarify and have some discernment about my desire to receive for myself and bestowal, what then needs to happen is that the Creator needs to bring about some darkness, confusion, or negative thoughts, or weakness, something to kind of sway me off balance or get me off track. Like I said before, the Creator doesn't want us to go off track. The Creator is putting us, or life is putting us. You can say life, Creator, nature, doesn't matter. Everything that we're going through in the spiritual path, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, is therefore kind of like directing us. It's allowing us to direct ourselves through all kinds of impressions that we get, good and bad. And this is exactly how life is as well. This is how we live our lives as well. We live it through positive and negative events, right? If I take all of life's events as natural as it should be, then I need to go through negative stuff as well in order for personal growth, then I can really balance myself out. But if I'm constantly running away from negative stuff in order to feel good, I'm not really going to have a lot of understanding about life. This is why successful people are those who always overcome obstacles and not run away from them. All right. So if you have an obstacle, if you've got a drama problem in front of you, what you want to do is try to overcome it as best you can. Okay, and this is how it should be in our spiritual work, because then I've got discernments. Then I can say to myself, I need to improve myself here. That desire I don't want to use, or that's not really a necessity. I don't really need to deal with that. This is how you can grow, by going through all these sensations. All right, I really like this lesson actually, because all these excerpts are really, really talking to us. Really nice. Really well description. They're really well, really well kind of thought out, and all the words there are precise. So, for example, even when Rabash puts in that sentence, you just try to do it, because that's exactly the situation. A person can just try to do it because we've got no idea about what we're really going for, because there's no example here. in our corporeal existence and perception of reality, what spirituality really is. So if I don't know what spirituality really is, I don't have a clear direction, but I'm making that effort, and life understands I'm making an effort, and it brings me to that eureka moment when you say, that's it. This is how, many things happen in life as well. For example, if we're delving on a problem, right? All of a sudden, out of the blue, when we're not dealing with it, a solution or an idea comes. We've got this eureka moment, and you say, that's it, I got it. Okay, and this is how it happens with spirituality as well. Why? Because even though I'm not really knowing what I'm going for, I don't really know how things are. I don't really know how things are supposed to pan out or develop. The accumulation of my effort brings me to this moment of click, all right? And that click really then allows you to cross that line. It's just that one last push. But the accumulation until you have that click is called the effort. So even though I don't know, and it's all blurry, and I'm just, trotting along with the group, even though I'm participating in everything, I'm trying to do everything, things are just, blurry. I don't know what's going on. But the accumulation, the effort is all part of the game. And this is how things become, this is how children develop as well. By doing things, they begin to develop their coordination. They begin to develop strength in holding. They begin to develop coordination between their senses, right, with their hands and eyes, and they can start putting things together. How is that all happening? How is that all possible? It's because they're constantly trying to hold on to something, to do something. They're always on top of something to do. And by doing all that, all of a sudden their senses start to coordinate, even when they're dancing, right? So I've got a little 3-year-old, he loves to dance to music, right? So because he loves music so much and he's dancing, he doesn't know what the rhythm really is. But over time, because he's doing it so much, he's repeating it all the time, he's constantly dancing, he's getting the idea of what rhythm is, what a beat is. So he's now beginning to tap his feet like with the beat, and then he's making his move kind of thing. So over time, what was once just random throwing hands and arms and legs around and calling that dancing now becomes something like I'm listening to the music first, I'm checking out the beat behind it, and then I'm acting with it. So coordination starts to come together. And this all happens by mindlessly doing things. Okay, because initially when he's dancing, he doesn't know what dancing is. He's just instinctively doing all kinds of actions which he feels good about doing with the music. So when a person starts studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, what is he doing? He's studying, and through the study, by constantly doing and making effort, what he's doing is the same thing. All of a sudden, that coordination starts to come together, fit together, and then it's just like, click. Okay. So the most important thing here is not to, jump off the bandwagon, not to leave the path, just constantly have this rhythm of studying. So you're constantly progressing like a child, and that's the healthiest way to go. All right, then. So here we are. We've done our 45 minutes. And since there are no questions, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave it at that one. Maybe, there is one question. Is that right? There is a question after all. All right, so let's see what that is. P. Green is writing. Okay. Okie dokie. I'm happy to wait for that. Last week I was away, so we had a recorded lesson, but we're going to carry on as usual. Okay, P. Green's asking, does a triangle in Kabbalah relate to the 3 lines with the base representing the middle line? No, that's not what a triangle really is. A triangle is actually half of a rectangle. where the light and the vessel have inverse relationships. So when you have a desire, when you have a vessel, it's Keter, Chochma, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut, all right? But the first light that comes in is the light of Nefesh, which is the weakest light. So the weakest light first enters the vessel in the purest Kli, so it's like the opposite. And until you attract new lights into that, that Nefesh is not going to go further down into the vessel. So the triangle is normally used as half of a rectangle. Normally we use the rectangle and then divide it into two to understand, well, to not to understand, but to demonstrate that the light and the vessel have an opposite inverse value. This is something important to understand in the wisdom of Kabbalah, because then the vessel that receives the light and the bestowing light, the Or Hoser, is what you're going to build on top of that. So it's important to understand that topic, but it's not like that. It's not the middle line. The triangle is not the middle line there. Okay. Sometimes we talk about a square, a circle as well. For example, a square is a desire to receive with all four phases. All right. So, but they're just talking about a desire at this moment in time. All right. I hope that helps. P Green. In the interim, then, I'm going to love you guys and leave you until next Tuesday. And hopefully we'll have another nice conversation with another topic next week. All the best. Have a great week already. And God willing, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.